was calm and quiet, the kind of stillness that lulled most people into a false sense of security. But Isabella Hart thrived in this stillness. She moved gracefully through the dimly lit alley, her heels clicking softly on the pavement. Her long, dark hair cascaded over her shoulders, and her piercing blue eyes scanned her surroundings with a calculated precision. Her latest victim lay motionless at her feet, a young man in his 20s, who had been unfortunate enough to catch her attention at the bar earlier that evening. Isabella knelt beside him, her gloved hands meticulously wiping the handle of the knife she had used. The thrill of the kill still coursed through her veins, a feeling she had grown addicted to over the years. She stood up, straightening her coat and taking one last look at her handiwork. The alley was a perfect backdrop for her latest masterpiece. Shadows danced on the walls, playing tricks with the light from a distant street lamp. Satisfied, she slipped the knife into her bag and walked away, leaving no trace of her presence. Isabella's childhood was the picture of innocence. She grew up in a small town, where everyone knew everyone and nothing ever seemed to change. Her parents, Richard and Evelyn Hart, were well-respected members of the community. Richard was a successful lawyer, and Evelyn was a devoted stay-at-home mother. From a young age, Isabella was different. She was extraordinarily intelligent and observant, traits that her parents and teachers praised. But there was something else beneath the surface, something darker. Isabella was fascinated by death. She would often wander into the woods behind her house, finding small animals and studying them. When she found a dead bird or a squirrel, she would dissect it with a precision that was unsettling for a child her age. Her parents dismissed it as a phase, something she would grow out of. They never saw the cold detachment in her eyes, the lack of empathy that set her apart from other children. Isabella learned early on to hide her true nature. She knew how to smile and laugh, how to blend in with her peers. But inside, she was always watching, always calculating. As Isabella entered her teenage years, her beauty became even more pronounced. She had a natural grace and charm that drew people to her. Boys at school were infatuated with her, and girls wanted to be her friend. Isabella used this to her advantage, manipulating those around her with ease. Her first kill was a turning point. It was her junior year of high school, and a classmate named Mark had started paying too much attention to her. He followed her around, asking questions and trying to get close. Isabella felt threatened, not by him, but by the possibility of exposure. One night, she lured him to an abandoned building under the guise of a secret rendezvous. Never saw it coming. Isabella's precision was unmatched. She had studied anatomy in her spare time, understanding exactly where to strike. The thrill of watching the life drain from his eyes was intoxicating. She felt a rush of power, a sense of control that she had never experienced before. She disposed of the body with the same meticulous care she used in her studies. No one ever suspected her. Mark was just another missing person, a tragedy in a small town. Isabella knew then that she could do it again, and she would. College was a fresh start for Isabella. She chose to study psychology, driven by a desire to understand herself better. Her professors admired her dedication and insight, often using her as an example in their lectures. Isabella excelled in her studies, all the while maintaining her facade of normalcy. She continued her nocturnal activities, each kill more refined than the last. She developed a routine, carefully selecting her victims and leaving no evidence behind. Her beauty and charm made it easy to lure people in, and her intelligence ensured she never made a mistake. There was a brief romance with a fellow student, Michael, who was drawn to her enigmatic nature. For a while, Isabella considered letting him in, showing him her true self. But she knew it was too dangerous. When he started asking too many questions, she ended their relationship abruptly. Michael was found dead a few weeks later, an apparent suicide. Isabella felt no remorse. Detective Samuel Kane was a seasoned investigator with a reputation for solving the toughest cases. He had seen it all, or so he thought. The string of mysterious deaths that started appearing on his radar intrigued him. There was a pattern, a signature that was almost imperceptible but unmistakable to a trained eye. Kane was meticulous in his work, piecing together the clues that others had missed. He knew there was a killer out there, someone who was intelligent and calculating, His first encounter with Isabella was at a charity event, where she was the guest of honor. Cain was struck by her beauty, but there was something in her eyes that set off alarm bells. He began to dig deeper, researching her past and the people who had disappeared around her. Isabella sensed his interest and felt a thrill she hadn't experienced in a long time. She decided to play along, leaving subtle clues that only Cain would notice. The game was on. Isabella and Cain's interactions became a dance of wits. She enjoyed the challenge, the thrill of outsmarting a seasoned detective. Cain, on the other hand, was driven by a need to uncover the truth. He knew he was dealing with a formidable opponent, but he was determined to catch her. Isabella left a trail of breadcrumbs, carefully calculated to keep Cain on edge. She enjoyed watching him struggle, knowing that he was getting closer but never quite close enough. It was a dangerous game, but one that she relished. As the investigation intensified, Isabella found it harder to maintain her mask. The pressure of living a double life began to take its toll. She made small mistakes, slips that Cain was quick to notice. Her public life as a rising star and her career contrasted sharply with her nocturnal activities. Cain's relentless pursuit pushed her to the edge. She had a close call one night, narrowly escaping his grasp. The fear of being caught was exhilarating but also terrifying. For the first time, Isabella felt vulnerable. Isabella's mind was a labyrinth of dark desires and twisted logic. She lacked any real remorse for her actions, viewing her victims as mere playthings. Flashbacks to her childhood revealed the pivotal moments that shaped her into the killer she had become. Her father's stern discipline, her mother's cold indifference, they all contributed to her detached, calculating nature. Detective Cain, too, had his own demons. His backstory was filled with personal loss and a deep-seated need for justice. The case had become personal for him, and he was determined to see it through to the end. The final confrontation was inevitable. Isabella knew Cain was closing in, and she decided to make her move. She orchestrated a scenario that would bring them face to face, a final showdown between predator and prey. The tension was palpable as they confronted each other, both knowing that only one of them would walk away. Cain's realization of Isabella's true nature was a moment of clarity. He saw through her facade, understanding the depth of her depravity. The battle of wits and wills reached its peak, with each trying to outmaneuver the other. The aftermath of the confrontation left a lasting impact on both Isabella and Cain. The resolution of the case brought closure, but also raised questions about the nature of evil. Isabella's fate was sealed, but her legacy would haunt Cain for years to come. The story ended with a reflection on the fine line between sanity and madness, and the darkness that can lurk behind even the most beautiful of faces. The moral of Beauty in the Shadows is that true evil can hide behind the most charming and beautiful facades. Appearances can be deceiving, and it's crucial to look beyond the surface to understand the true nature of people. Additionally, the story highlights the relentless pursuit of justice and the personal sacrifices that come with it, demonstrating that dedication and perseverance can uncover even the most hidden truths.